Welcome, Summoners, to Games Cast by Panda Neuro. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below.
Okay, looks like we are in the champion selection now. And I do expect to see either a Kale or Fizz ban, as both of those were real trouble. And there's the first ban, Fizz, right away. They don't want to deal with him. That's just one of those niche picks that forces a ban out there, kind of like Froggens and Nivea, where it's not a super amazing champion, but someone just plays it so well it's ban worthy. There's the Katarina ban coming up. I expect to see Blitzcrank Fizz again. There's Kha'Zix. And I think we're going to see Blitzcrank, possibly Lee Sin or Evelyn, yeah. Eve was banned in the first game, and I don't think anyone wants to see Eve at this point. Her roam is just way too strong. And we are going to see... I'm not sure what's up next. I think we're probably going to see Blitzcrank, as they don't want to deal with him, Lee Sin, Amumu, one or two of the junglers that are really difficult. They're actually going to ban out Kale. They don't want to see either one of those champions. I don't think Kale was as much of a problem as Fizz was, even though Kale did a very good job working with Lulu in that one team fight in mid lane where they just kept Lulu alive just barely and baited out a bunch of wasted damage. And who will M ban out this time? I don't think they saw any real bad threats from the last game. It looks like it is Blitzcrank. They just don't want to deal with him. No one wants to deal with Blitzcrank, which is why he's constantly banned out. But CCC will pick up the Lee Sin. And that's one of the kind of worries when you have many other priorities, is someone like Lee Sin will slip through. Great jungler, very adept at picking up the early game and really snowballing it till late game. He also has a lot of options, whether he goes tanky or he goes for more physical damage. It looks like M might pick up Ezreal. Likely just going to go down bottom. They could do another pocket strat with a mid Ezreal, but they do like the Lulu. And Lulu Ezreal is a very annoying lane. It just has a lot of poke, and it's very hard to really get on him, as Lulu has a movement speed buff and Ezreal has his arcane shift. And the question is, what will CCC pick up now? They're going to have to pick up, I'd like to see them pick up their AD carry and support, as AD carry and support would be a very safe pick here, and I don't think they're going to be really countered. They could go with a Jace poke pick or even a Jace down bottom. But I do think if they pick Jace, he's going to have to go up top, or even an Urgot top or mid would be a really interesting pick, as an Urgot mid could really shut down someone, unless the M side decides to do a lane swap. But I think they're going to do a bit of trolling first, kind of get M start talking about whatever pick they show, then switch it at the last second, as that is a fairly common draft decision in these tournaments. And it looks like Janna Urgot for a shield comp coming out of CCC. They could easily pick up a Karma to go mid lane and go with that shield comp. It's a fairly niche strategy, but it is really effective, as they have 3 shields already with Urgot, Janna, and Lee Sin all having shields of their own. Looks like M is going to show Vladimir and Brand looking for some real big damage and AoE teamfight ability, as I think that would work pretty well. Vladimir and Brand bring a lot of consistent AoE damage, which will really hurt after those shields go down. Or they could, yeah, I think that's a little more likely, is they're going to save their top laner for last pick. They could still go with Vladimir top, but they decided instead to go the Amumu with a nice big AoE ultimate that should keep people down while the shields are, it probably basically keep people until the shields wear off, as the Amumu ultimate does a lot of damage and locks people down for a good amount of time, so the shield will just wear off. And it looks like it is going to be a Wukong. Wukong likely going to go up top. Not sure I like Wukong in this situation. I think they could have saved him for last pick, as a Wukong is generally not very safe, and the CCC side has not shown their top laner or mid laner. And I think they're going to try and have a massive AoE teamfight again. They have M has 3 AoE ultimates that do CC, with Wukong, Amumu, and Lulu all having CC on their ultimates. While we do see Urgot having a nice swap, so he should be able to pick someone off or prevent one of the ultimates from going off, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. And I do think Maokai would be a very nice jungler here, as he could drop down his own ultimate and prevent a lot of that damage. And it looks like they're showing Jarvan Caitlyn. Not sure how I feel about this, as I don't think Jarvan is a very good jungler for this situation. They need someone who can really jump in there and protect the team. And it looks like it is going to be Caitlyn, with Urgot possibly going mid. And we're going to have either Lee Sin mid or top, with Urgot taking the other role. And it'll be Caitlyn, Janna down bottom. CCC is basically just going to have to tank up this game and play fights last for virtually a lifetime, as they don't have very much damage coming out from really anyone. But they do have a lot of tankiness, and if they can survive long enough, they should be able to come out ahead in these fights. It looks like M needs to pick up a mid laner. I think a Rise would be a good choice here, as he's fairly good against anyone. Possibly even go with Vlad still for mid lane or top, as Vladimir can put out some good AoE damage and is really safe in lane. But let's see what they actually go with. And it looks like Jax might be the choice here. As yes, it is Jax. Jax is likely to go top with a Wukong mid, but I'm not sure how well either one of those do against Lee Sin and Urgot. It is going to be a very hard time for M in lane, but if they can survive through these lanes, they should be okay. That's just one of the problems with picking up a Jax and Wukong, is they're not incredibly strong laners, and none of the M lanes are very strong except for Lulu Ezreal, who can just kind of poke around. The problem is CCC has a lot of ways to actually get in onto Wukong or Jax before they get away. They have Maokai, who can just twist advance in, or got swapping around. Lee Sin, who's going to slow the attack speed of every single one on the team, and his attack speed slow is pretty devastating if he can land it on multiple people. And it looks like yes, they are going to run Urgot probably mid lane with teleport and have Lee Sin up top. I'm not sure if that's accurate, so don't quote me on it, but I think that would be their probably best decision, as Lee Sin up top could really shut down Jax or Wukong and make sure they are completely ineffective in the fights. Caitlyn has also opted for a cleanse to prevent the Amumu bandage toss or the Jax stun from actually landing on him. And I think it's going to be very much needed. If Caitlyn can actually survive in these fights and just sit back, they're going to have a really hard time getting to her, especially with Urgot and Janna there. And even Maokai, who can basically just sit back and protect Caitlyn. And the other thing CCC side can do is they can just sit around and poke. With Urgot, Janna, they can just launch those Acid Hunter missiles all day long, and Caitlyn can just sit back and auto attack. While M does not have a really good way of engaging outside of the Amumu bandage toss, as they really don't want to send Wukong or Jax in right away. They'll just get CC'd the second they enter, or kicked back by Lee Sin. It could also get hit by the Janna shield or Janna ultimate if anyone decides to actually jump in there. But I definitely think the M strategy could actually work if they get tanky enough and they can just outlast all those shields, because the shields are on fairly significant cooldowns unless the CCC side picks up a lot of cooldown reduction, as Urgot, Janna, and Lee Sin shields do take a while to recover, and they just don't have a whole lot of damage on their team. Caitlyn brings decent damage, Urgot brings decent damage through the mid game, but kind of falls off late, while Jax, Wukong, Ezreal all scale off incredibly well, and Amumu never really does fall off, as he always has great burst damage and a decent amount of sustained damage. And if the M side can get tanky enough, their base damages should be able to carry them to a victory. Unless they do what they did the first game and just snowball off a really big mistake by the CCC side. And it looks like we are almost ready to go into the game. I don't expect to see any lane swapping shenanigans like we saw in the first one. I fully expect the teams to kind of just play it standard. As Janna, Caitlyn is basically a very safe lane. I don't think Lulu and Ezreal is going to do a whole lot to it. They're basically just going to sit down bottom and farm off for the first 5 to 10 minutes and really just play for mid-game. The CCC side basically has to win mid-game, as they have a really tanky lineup with little damage. And here we go. There we go, come on game. Okay, there we go. We do see skins up on everyone, but Caitlyn. And I definitely expect to see Caitlyn, Janna just keep farming. Urgot, I think, is going to do a real good job of shutting down whoever he's up against. Because Urgot is a real terror mid lane. And if they want to use him, I don't think they're going to want to use him top lane. But they certainly could and have Lee Sin roam around and play jungle controller. Because I think Lee Sin could actually do a decent job of just kind of roaming around with the Maokai and just jump in on someone and completely shut them down with their large amount of slows. It looks like basically standard stuff all around with a bunch of potions and wards on virtually everyone. And we will see if there's an invade. Looks like the red team is looking to, as they all ping top, and if they go top, wrap around and stop Maokai at blue, that would really hurt him out. As they did try and invade last time, and it sort of worked. It forced out a few bad wards from the CCC side, and it looks like they are just going to wrap around there and go for the blue buff. I think Caitlyn does need to place a trap somewhere a little bit better than that, as they really hustled through. Though I do think Lee Sin saw them out. Yes, Lee Sin did see them. And they are just going to throw wards. And M is doing exactly what they did the first game. Force out a bunch of bad wards, especially a bunch of defensive wards. Because if they have to play defense, if M can actually force out those defensive wards again on the red side, they'll be in really good shape. As if you have to actually place wards on your own side, you're not placing aggressive wards to see where the jungler is coming from. Looks like they do throw a second ward down. Not sure how effective that ward is going to be, though he is going to try and prevent the Maokai from going in for an early gank on the mid lane. Looks like Amumu will just be starting blue. Same thing with Maokai. Both of them realize nothing's going to happen this game. It looks like Lee Sin is opting to go mid with Urgot top. Lee Sin is likely going to go roam around with the Maokai, as that is a pretty potent roam combination. Wukong and Jax are in the area trying to do something, but I don't think they're going to be able to. Other than just kind of slow things down, Jax is opting to go top with a Wukong mid, but Wukong against Lee Sin is a fairly strong lane in Lee Sin's favor. Looks like Amumu might be trying to counter jungle. No, he decides to just go through his own buffs, and Maokai is going to do the same. Neither one really opting to gank early, as they do have a bunch of wards placed out. Looks like Urgot is going to try and do a good bit of damage to Jax, and I think Jax will be okay until level 2 is hit on Urgot. If Urgot can hit level 2 and land his combo, Jax is going to be in a lot of trouble. Even though Jax did start with just a bunch of potions, and is looking to farm up pretty heavily. Down bottom, we're not going to see a whole lot of action. Both Caitlyn and Janna are fairly safe. Lee Sin doing a lot of damage to this Wukong. And Wukong is going to be in a bit of trouble, even though he does have a lot more potions than Lee Sin, as he opted for the flask and a bunch of potions build. Maokai has burned a lot of his potions off here. Looks like Jax does get the best of Urgot in that engagement, as he did hit level 2 first. Amumu going to come in for a gank up top. Lee Sin trading fairly well with Wukong, as Wukong just does not have the damage at the moment to really deal with Lee Sin. And it looks like Urgot is in a lot of trouble here. He's just not been able to harass Jax to the level he needs to. And Amumu is going to come in. Will he be able to land the bandage toss? Yes, he does. That should be first blood, but no, Urgot does jump away at the last second. And the stun lands. They do get very low, but that is first blood picked up by Amumu. Urgot just not tanky enough this early in the game. And he didn't land his combo properly on Jax. So Jax had a lot of health. And now this lane is going to be greatly in Jax's favor, as he's going to get a few extra levels and possibly even go back and pick up a cloth armor so he doesn't take so much damage from Urgot. Instead, he opts for Doran's blade, trying to out-sustain him. Urgot does teleport back top, but Maokai is not in range to jump in on Amumu. He's doing a good bit of damage to this Wukong, as Wukong's getting fairly low on potions, basically chain-chugging them down. Looks like Caitlyn is in a bit of trouble from Ezreal, as barrier is popped, and there will not be the last Mystic Shot hit. So Ezreal might go down bottom, though Lulu does save him. The Caitlyn trap does pick off the kill. Very lucky Caitlyn there, as Ezreal missed his Mystic Shot. Though the big problem is Caitlyn is going to have to go back and miss a large wave of minions. Janna should be able to just pick them up at tower. Wukong jumping in again, but taking even more harassment, though he is up decently well in terms of minions compared to Lee Sin. He's not actually in that much trouble. Looks like Maokai is going to come in, but Amumu is here, and Lee Sin is in a lot of trouble as Amumu does stop the twisted advance. And Lee Sin is now in a lot of trouble. Jax up top, jumping on Urgot, and Urgot is punishing this Jax, as Jax just does way too much damage at this point. And Urgot is not in a very good position. Urgot's basically going to have to last hit with his Acid Hunter missiles. And Urgot is already out of mana. Urgot just not able to do enough damage to keep Jax down at this point. I thought he was going to be able to do a good bit better, but apparently not, as he was picked up for first blood a moment ago. But the gold is basically even at this point, with only 200 separating the two. And we are going to see a farm off as Wukong's going for an early brutalizer. Lee Sin's picking up a Doran's shield to try and prevent some of that Wukong harassment, and a longsword. Looks like we have Caitlyn picking up a Vampiric Scepter and Doran's blade. Ezreal with just the Vampiric Scepter and boots. We do see Lulu picking up the Philosopher's Stone, while Janna went for the Sight Stone. Amumu is going for the Spirit of the Ancient Golem in addition to the Boots of Mobility. And I think that's a great combo on Amumu. It'll allow him to just roam around the map so incredibly fast and actually get some good ganks off, as he's gotten two really nice ganks off, one picking up first blood, one preventing Maokai from actually going in. Looks like Wukong might try and go down bottom, but no, he is going to be spotted out there by Maokai. Urgot is being jumped in on Jax, and he does pop the Ignite, meaning Urgot will likely have to go back to base pretty soon. Lulu putting out some good harass on a Caitlyn, but the harass is basically negated by that shield, and the fact that she can lifesteal really hard with a shield up. Looks like Urgot is in a lot of trouble, and I definitely think they should have swapped that and had Lee Sin top with Urgot mid. It's really becoming a liability this game, and I'm not sure what they're going to do to fix it. Other than Urgot is farming pretty well. It's just not the general feeling of the lane, and Jax is getting pretty much free farm. Looks like Lee Sin doing a good bit of damage to Wukong in the mid lane. Wukong just burning through a bunch of potions, but both of them should be perfectly fine. And are we going to actually see an engage pretty soon? Looks like Maokai is going to go up top and make sure that they can actually get the blue buff onto the proper person, as Lee Sin will rotate over there. I don't think they're going to be in time, as Jax wisely just backed off upon seeing no one near the blue buff, and Lee Sin run away from the lane. Looks like Wukong does pop his ultimate in the mid lane as Amumu does come in. Amumu is 6, does pop a Sad Mummy, and Lee Sin does pop his ultimate, but he is able to flash over the wall, preventing his own death. Well played by Lee Sin there, not allowing Amumu to hit the bandage toss right away. But it does mean he is forced out of lane for a little bit, and they are going to do some good damage mid lane. Amumu's ultimate is down, same thing with Wukong. Jax is going to do some damage to this Maokai. But the thing is, Urgot now has blue buff, and Jax is not in a very good position. Jax will be able to flash over the wall and be just fine. So Urgot now with blue buff and the tier is going to do a whole lot of damage. And I guess that's his strategy for late game. Looks like Maokai's in a lot of trouble as Amumu lands bandage toss, and Maokai taken down. And Maokai's just not having a very good game. That was a really well set up gank by the Wukong and Amumu. They just waited right behind line of sight. Looks like Lee Sin jumping in and jumping right back. Lee Sin just is not doing very much damage to this Wukong anymore. Wukong just a little too tanky. Caitlyn putting out some good damage on Ezreal, but Ezreal should be just fine. Amumu got to come down bottom, though he is going to be spotted out by a ward as soon as he hits the tri-brush, as there is a ward and trap in there. So Amumu now backing up, looking to go for Lee Sin. Will he actually land advantage toss? Yes, he does, but Wukong jumped the other way, as that was probably out of range and hit by the last little pixel. Looks like Urgot's still going back up top and just not able to do enough to Jax. He is up in terms of CS, but Jax is farming fairly well. Boots Mobility have picked up Wukong and along with Brutalizer, and they're looking to really start roaming around the map, as it is a fairly potent roam lane, and Urgot doing a lot of damage to this Jax now, as he doesn't have to worry about his mana. Early game, he just had a few too many mana problems and let Jax get in on some trades that he probably shouldn't have. Amumu is waiting in the wings to jump around on Urgot, but Urgot does know about it. Amumu's ultimate is cooled up. He does have flash as well if he so chooses, but Lee Sin will be in the area to actually help out Urgot should a fight come on. So Ezreal is going to throw out his ultimate, but not much happening as his bottom lane is basically going to be a farm off for the next little while. Urgot and Lee Sin are jumping in there. Looks like Wukong coming in as well. Will Wukong be able to get his ultimate off? Yes, he does, knocking them both up. And that means Urgot is in a lot of trouble. Urgot does flash away. Will Urgot pop his own ultimate? Not in time, as that was a fairly well executed gank there, even though it was pretty costly in terms of ultimates. If they can pick up Maokai, it would be incredibly worth it. Amumu should be able to land a nice bandage toss pretty soon. Lee Sin coming in, but they decide not to engage. And this Urgot is just not working out very well. He had a few opportunities, but they've just really put a lot of pressure on him and built up that space for Jax to farm. Jax still isn't farming incredibly well, though he is farming better than Urgot. Looks like Lee Sin jumping in, and will be able to actually steal the Wraith back. Looks like Amumu is in a bit of trouble, as Urgot does come in. Will Urgot be able to land his slow? I don't think he will, as Lee Sin does miss his. And that is a wasted teleport by Urgot. I think he'd been much better served teleporting somewhere down bottom and trying to make something happen there. Jax is doing a whole lot of damage to Maokai, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stand up for Jax too much longer. He has picked up double Doran's blades and is really looking to just dominate this game. Twisted Advance comes in from Maokai, or Jax is looking for the kill on Maokai, but Maokai does flash away. Urgot will be able to put out some good damage. His ultimate has a fair bit of time before it's up again, and if he'd waited for the ultimate, they might have been able to kill him, but no, they did not. It's like Caitlyn is still just continuing to farm down bottom, as both bottom laners are basically even in terms of farm. And we are going to see just a lot of harassment being traded. As let's take a quick look at the items. Urgot does have the Ninja Tabi and the Tear of the Goddess. We do see Maokai picking up Philosopher's Stone and Spirit Stone. Lee Sin with Brutalizer and Doran's Shield. Looks like Amumu's going to jump up on Urgot, but I think Urgot should be just fine here. He's going to take a good bit of damage, but I don't think he's in any danger of dying at this point. Amumu's ultimate is just going to come off cooldown, and he can pop it at any point, and he does. And that means Urgot does go down. Urgot just not having a good game this time. He needs to just sit back and farm. He doesn't need to actually engage, he just needs to farm from a distance as far away as he can. Looks like Caitlyn might be going for a Bloodthirster or Infinity Edge at this point, having picked up the BF Sword and Vampiric Scepter. Janna in a little bit of trouble, but her team is around here. Caitlyn getting fairly low. Will Caitlyn actually be able to get away? She does pop cleanse and flash over the wall, but the ultimate from Ezreal will finish him off, and he does see they're doing dragon, so they might have to back off here, or CC is going to be in a lot of trouble. They should just give away this dragon, and it looks like that's what they do, as Lee Sin gets absolutely pummeled down by Wukong. And I think that's what they were going for this game, is they're just going for the massive armor shred, as Wukong Q does a lot of armor shred. And I'm not sure what CCC is going to be able to do to come back in this game, outside of just get to mid game and pray that they miss their ultimate combo. Looks like Maokai does steal the blue buff away from Jax, as he was trying to steal it. But that means it is not on Urgot, and Urgot really needs that blue buff at the moment just to farm up and get to late game with the Manamura. Looks like Jax has picked up even more lifesteal. Likely going to go for the Blade of the Rune King next. We do have a move going for either a Warmonks or a Spirit of the Ancient Golem. I think Spirit of the Ancient Golem would be a pretty good idea to prevent all that CC. Wukong has completed off his Black Cleaver and is doing a lot of damage with that, in addition to his already fairly strong Armor Shred. And that's kind of what's going to really win this game. If Wukong can get his Armor Shred on the right people, he can easily finish off a team, or finish off someone extremely quick. They have a lot of physical damage, and it all stacks up. Caitlyn in a bit of trouble as Amumu tries to run in. Amumu's ult still on cooldown as Maokai throws off his own ultimate, and the Janna Tornado comes across. Maokai looking to go in, but I don't think they really want to fight this, as Maokai does jump in onto Amumu and takes a lot of damage, and he will be taken out. Wukong ultimate is not up. Ezreal ultimate goes across everyone, but Lee Sin is forced back, and they really can't get an engage here. Lee Sin jumps up to the ward. Nice use of that, as he does kick Wukong, and Wukong is in a bit of trouble. Will Wukong be able to get away? Looks like Ezreal is going fairly low on the back end, but Caitlyn's taking a lot of damage as well. Wukong doing a good bit of damage to Lee Sin, but there's Urgot coming here. Will Urgot be able to actually pick up a kill here? It looks like he just might, but Lee Sin does pick it up and shut down on Wukong. Amumu has his ultimate picked up, but there's the Janna Tornado doing a lot of damage as Janna does go down. And at this point, CCC is in a lot of trouble. M is just snowballed these fights, even though that was not a terrible fight for them. It's going to be a terrible fight at this point as Jax has come in here and is going to do a ton of damage. Lee Sin is just kind of roaming around. And can Lee Sin actually find a kill on the back end? Looks like Maokai is here, but Jax does jump in and do a lot of damage to Urgot. Maokai is in pretty decent shape, but Amumu gets swapped under the tower. Lee Sin does go down as well. Amumu's still alive, but you do see Jax taken out. And overall, that is not a very good fight now, having lost an additional 2 members. Caitlyn is still here and doing a decent amount of damage. Maokai could try and jump in here. The question is, will he? Looks like Caitlyn is going to be bandage tossed and burst down before she can do anything. And that is just kind of demoralizing when your Caitlyn can't even get into the fights. But she should have seen that coming. Looks like Janna is... They're going to jump onto Lulu, but Lulu will not go down. Ezreal is in a bit of trouble here as Urgot's going to teleport in. Question is, will Urgot land anything? He does pick up home guards, and he looks like Wukong does jump in on Maokai, finishing him off. Urgot will be able to finish off Amumu here if he can get one more Q. Just barely, as Amumu did try to bandage toss at the end. Urgot does get a shutdown on Amumu and picks up a double buff. Question is, who will we go on here? Looks like he's going to go on Wukong, but Wukong is doing so much damage with that ultimate. Urgot's trying to finish off Ezreal, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to, as Lee Sin does come in here and finishes off Wukong. And it looks like will Ezreal be able to land his abilities? Ezreal does burn Flash, and that means Ezreal will be going down here, though he will be doing a good bit of damage to Lee Sin. And Lee Sin will be just safe thanks to a Janna shield. But that was still a very bad fight, as Jax is going to pick up his mid tower. And the score is now 6-13, with a 7,000 gold lead for the M side of things. And I'm just not sure what CCC is going to be able to do at this point. Urgot's not going to have enough damage to be a factor in this fight, and they're never going to be tanky enough at this point, having given up all that armor penetration to Wukong and letting Jax basically free farm for most of this game. Because Jax should be able to pick up his Blade of the Rune King next time he goes back to base, and Amumu has picked up a Sunfire Cape and sitting on another Giant's Belt. I don't think he's going to be killable for very long, as he does have a ridiculous amount of health and armor. Looks like we do have Ezreal going for the Phantom Dancer in addition to Bloodthirster. Wukong trying to get a kill down here, but he is spotted out by a ward. Who has picked up that Shrillia's Reverie in addition to boots and wards. We do see Janna with the Philosopher's Stone and Ruby Sightstone. Caitlyn with just the Bloodthirster. Lee Sin has completed up a Black Cleaver in addition to the Durant Shield and Ninja Tabi. We have Maokai likely going for an Edge of the Legion. Wukong jumping in on Caitlyn, but Caitlyn will go down here, though no Janna ultimate is burned. But that's several key abilities, such as Caitlyn's Flash and Janna's ultimate burn, just to prevent Wukong from picking up a kill with his ultimate. Looks like Wukong is in a bit of trouble as the ultimate for Caitlyn is blocked by the illusion. But Wukong is not in a position to actually fight. Though he is going to try and pick up a kill, he is not going to be able to find one. As Caitlyn wisely just waits at the back end of things. Lee Sin is also going to zone out the help from the rest of the team as Ezreal and Lulu were in the area. And this Wukong is just not going down considering how not tanky he's built. And there's the last auto attack finishing him off. Looks like Urgot's in a bit of trouble as Amumu jumps in. But Amumu will be just fine as he just pops ultimate, and that is a dead Urgot. So Urgot not doing a very good job. Lee Sin trying to come up here and make something happen. As he does land Sonic Wave onto Lulu, but Lulu is not going to be really phased by it. She did pop her ultimate there to give herself a bit more health, but it's not of any real concern at this point. As M will be taking down yet another tower. The tower score is 0-4, and they have now picked up an 8,000 gold lead. Mostly thanks to these towers and just farming a little bit better. The Urgot pick has really been turned on its head this game, as there has just not been a good way for him to farm. He lost his early game advantage pretty heavily, and at this point he is in a lot of trouble. If he can actually pick up the Manamura, he might be okay for damage, but I don't think he's ever going to be okay in terms of tankability. Looks like Amumu might be caught out here by a little bit, but no, Jax and Wukong are here, and they really don't want to fight this. They're trying to bait Ezreal into coming up, but there's Amumu jumping in. Amumu does not have his ultimate, but it doesn't matter, as this Maokai is not very tanky, and Janna will be the next victim as Caitlyn tries to land a Peacemaker over top, but not enough damage. As we do see the red side going to be going on to Lee Sin here, as Lee Sin tries to get a kill onto Ezreal, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Lee Sin just flashes over the wall and jumps right back, but he jumps right into Jackson Wukong as they absolutely crush him. And I do think the problem was they put Urgot top instead of mid lane. Looks like Urgot's going to try and pick up a kill on Ezreal, and I think he should be able to do it. Yes, he does. And that resets Urgot's kill spree, but it is not going to be enough, as the red side of M will just push down this next tower, and they'll be in great shape this game. Up now 10,000 gold.
Improve your skills.
And I do think this game, it came down to Urgot and Lee Sin being in the wrong lanes. Lee Sin could have done a much better job against Jax, and Urgot could have really kept the Wukong down and not gotten this far ahead. Lee Sin basically didn't do anything to him. But there's Amumu with another beautiful bandage toss. But Amumu will be getting fairly low. He does have his flash and is able to just flash away. Looks like Janna is trying to get onto Amumu, and Amumu will be just fine. The Shirley's Reverie was popped by Lulu, and it keeps everyone safe. And this Amumu pick has done a real good job this game. He landed that first blood and gave Jax a free lane. In addition to that, he's just been all over the map all game long, making sure that his team was getting advantages every single lane. And it looks like we're going to have Lee Sin try and jump on Ezreal, but I don't think he's going to be able to, as Ezreal is just a little too mobile at this point. Wukong has gone for the Last Whisper. And in addition to another Brutalizer, he's really stacking armor penetration here. While Amumu does grab up that Abyssal Scepter in addition to the Sunfire Cape. So he's going to be doing all the magic damage they need. In addition to Jax putting off a bit himself as he's going for a Warmonks after completing the Blade of the Rune King. Not sure what Ezreal's going to pick up next. Could go for the Infinity Edge or Last Whisper here. Looks like Maokai is in a bit of trouble as Jackson and Lulu come up, but they aren't going to be able to get in range. He's trying to do some damage to this Ezreal, but Wukong will be here and absolutely burst Caitlyn down. Caitlyn just not tanky enough at all to survive here. Wukong getting knocked back in the tower, but Janna is leaving herself vulnerable as Wukong picks up another kill. Lee Sin trying to get onto Ezreal and just kind of stall the game out. But I don't think it's going to be that easy as Urgot is in trouble again. Moon lands on the bandage toss and Urgot goes down. And I'm just really not... This Urgot pick has just not worked out. I thought it would do a lot better than it would, but it's really been the liability of this game. It allowed Jax to basically free farm and roam around the map. even though he does not have nearly the highest amount of gold on his team, that going to Amumu, who's been involved in virtually every single kill. Wukong as well, doing a really great job of just farming and picking up the kills. There's going to be a nice land shot by Amumu, hitting 3, and there goes this Maokai. Maokai just not able to get into any of these fights. Lee Sin does jump in there as everyone is low. Will Urgot be able to pick up a kill on Wukong? Yes, he does. But Wukong does pick up another kill on the back end. And Caitlyn is not in a position to actually beat Ezreal. Though they are going to try, as Amumu does teleport back right in the base. Looks like Caitlyn and Janna are going to try and get up here onto Ezreal Lulu, but I think Ezreal and Lulu will have a much better time of this, as they are going to pick off Janna here. Or they're going to turn on to Caitlyn. Caitlyn is getting pretty low. Both sides are very low. And Caitlyn should be able to win this fight if they can stay, as Maokai does run in, but they are just going to back up. And both sides kind of reset. But the problem is an inhibitor is down for the blue side. And with that inhibitor down, it means there is going to be a lot of problems, as the red side of M will just be able to pick up whatever they want in terms of buffs, or even go grab Baron at this point. M is up 14,000 gold, with the score being 9-25, as M has basically dominated every single point of this game. And it's really just not been CCC's series, as they got basically picked by two kind of niche picks, or niche lineups I should say, as they did go this game with a very powerful armor penetration lineup, with Ezreal and Wukong just shredding armor, in addition to Jax getting a fair bit out of that armor shred as well. And it looks like the red side will go up to Baron and finish it off rather quickly. Looks like we do have Last Whispers picked up by Ezreal, a Yamu's Ghostblade picked up onto Wukong, and Amumu has finally finished off that tenacity item with the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. Jax finished off his Warmongs, and we do have an Ancient of the Legion up onto Lulu. Lee Sin, not sure what he's going to be picking up next, but he is in a bit of trouble, as he did spot Amumu out there, and Amumu is going to go run right down the mid lane, as Ezreal and Lulu were trying to just push down this tower. Looks like Caitlyn will go down, but there we go, the flash ultimate by Wukong picking up Urgot, and Wukong not really worried about it, as he does try and finish off Maokai. Yes, he does, though he does get kicked in the fountain and taken out. But I do not think that'll matter at this point, as the three main damage dealers of CCC are dead. Amumu does flash ultimate into the fountain, and it will mean that Janna does go down, but Lee Sin should be okay. And that will be the game, as Jax does finish off these towers. And this will be a 2-0 victory for CCC. Or for M, excuse me. CCC going down 2-0, or by 2-0. They just never really got into either one of these games. They made a crucial mistake in game 1 of allowing the 2v1 lane to be dominated so incredibly hard. While in this game, they didn't properly lane the Urgot and Lee Sin, and they just never had any real hope. As Urgot's a decent top laner, but you can't lane him top lane against someone like Jax with all that Amumu support. And there is the game, folks. As we conclude off this series, as I said a moment ago, M takes the series 2-0. And they just completely snowballed throughout. There's the in-game score screen, which shows a bunch of items, but nothing significantly completed, as Urgot at the last second completed his Mana Miura and a static shiv up on Caitlyn, but it is not enough.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by Pan and Aurel. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.